Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video, we're taking a first look at a brand new Pokemon in the world of Pokemon Go, WYRDEER. WYRDEER can be encountered by participating in WYRDEER Raid Day, and you can get access to this Pokemon by doing either a raid in person or by getting a remote raid invite. WYRDEER is a normal and psychic type Pokemon. For the fast move, you're going to be running Confusion, and for the charge moves, your choice of Stomp, Wild Charge, and Mega Horn. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches, and let's check out WYRDEER in action in the Open Ultra League. Hopping into the first match, we see an incredibly difficult lead, Shadow Alolan Sandslash into Greninja. I'm going to farm up, switch into the Tentacruel, and catch what I'm hoping is a Hydro Cannon, and it is. That is a massive catch. Opponent now going to send in Armored Mewtwo. Armored Mewtwo, of course, able to hit for massive super effective damage with Confusion and Psystrike. I fire off the Scald, looking for a debuff. Unfortunately, the debuff is not to be. Opponent is going to go for the Psystrike, and Psystrike is going to pick up the knockout. I know that Armored Mewtwo does have access to Dynamic Punch. What I don't know is the counts. They're throwing energy. I'm assuming this is going to be a Dynamic Punch. It only ends up being a Psystrike, so it could have been a bait. Here, I am going to go for an Undercharge on the Ice Punch and go for a Farm Down, as I am looking to try and leave with a massive amount of energy to threaten the Greninja. Opponent is going to send back in the Greninja, and I'm going to begin to start launching these Drill Runs. Drill Run is going to connect into Greninja. I'm going for another Drill Run. Ice Punch wouldn't quite be enough to KO here, so I am going to look to pick up the knockout. The opponent does not want to let that happen as they commit the shield. I'm in a bit of an awkward spot here. Do I call a Night Slash? No, I shield, and that's proven to be a good decision as my opponent ends up full sending the Hydro. I'm firing off the Ice Punch into Greninja, does get shielded. The opponent understands their Greninja has value in the back. Greninja is going to be able to pick up the knockout with a Hydro Cannon. In comes WYRDEER, and these Confusions are heavily resisted by the Greninja. Greninja able to make it to a final Night Slash that does quite a bit of damage in the back. Opponent has Charizard, and this might actually be possible. Is this Wild Charge going to KO the Charizard? Yes, it does, and we take an unlikely win. Picking up a pretty nice lead in the next match, Shadow Alolan Sandslash into Jellicent. And the opponent is staying in this matchup, which works out very nicely for me. I'm going to farm up and fire off the Drill Run. Drill Run does some very nice neutral damage on a Jellicent, and we are going to see an early no-shield from the opponent. This is enough for a Shadow Ball, but I know that I can tank either a Shadow Ball or a Surf. I'm going to let this through. The opponent is going to opt for the route of going for double Surf. This Surf will not KO, and I'm going to be able to make it to the Drill Run. Surf connects. In comes the Obstagoon. The counter KOs, and I'm unable to go for the Drill Run. Very unfortunate there as I lose energy. The good news is I have the Obstagoon aligned against the Tentacruel, and much like Greninja core breaking in game number 1, Obstagoon is a massive core breaker for this team in game number 2. Luckily, I have it aligned onto my only counter for it, but unfortunately, I do not get the Scald debuff. And that means they're going to be able to land multiple non-debuffed Night Slashes here. Night Slash is going to connect. I'm firing off another Scald. Opponent has already shielded once. Are they willing to shield twice? No. They let it through, and there's the debuff. We finally do get the Scald debuff. They're going to need 2 charge moves here to pick up a knockout. They're firing off the Night Slash, and they're going for another Night Slash. This is going to get the KO, and now I'm going to be sending in WYRDEER. WYRDEER, these Confusions are heavily resisted. Was that Confusion enough to knock out, though? They're very low, but the Confusion is heavily resisted. No, they're able to save it. In comes the Jellicent, and Jellicent is able to hang on very low HP and make it to a Surf. Surf is going to connect. What do they have in the back? They have Shadow Dragonite, and I'm farming up to the back-to-back Wild Charges. This is going to be hitting for neutral damage. Wild Charge gets them low. I get the Confusion farm down, but the Obstagoon on 1 HP in the back is going to take the win. We see some great spice from the opponent in the next match as I lead Shadow Alolan Sandslash into Credilli. Opponent save switches into Talonflame, and I have an amazing response available in Tentacruel. Talonflame goes for the Fly. Fly does quite a lot of damage considering that XL Tentacruel is extremely bulky. I fire off the Scald. Scald again does not get the debuff. We are not getting lucky with the debuffing moves today. I'm going to shield because I either want to retain switch advantage or grab my opponent's final shield. Honestly, either way, I should be in an okay position. I fire off the Scald. Opponent is going to let this through. Back in comes XL Credilly. Credilly is going to fire off a Grass Knot before I'm able to make it to a move, and Grass Knot is going to be enough to pick up the knockout. I send in the Sand Slash. In the back, it's Skeledirge, and this is not looking amazing for me. The good news is due to that normal Psychic typing, Shadow Ball is single resisted, so they're forced to go for Disarming Voice. The question is, can I get to 2 moves? I cannot get to 2 moves. I fall just short. I did run Stomp for a little bit, but Stomp is only slightly cheaper in terms of energy than Wild Charge, so Stomp doesn't even really function too well as a bait move, so instead, I opted to go for the Wild Charge Mega Horn set. I'm now going to be firing off the Drill Run. Drill Run is going to connect, and all that's left in the back is the Credilly. Credilly going to be firing off Rock Slides. The question is, how much damage does a Rock Slide do? It does not do half of my HP, so this game should be a win. I'm firing off the Ice Punch. Ice Punch is going to connect. Alolan Sand Slash able to make it to Ice Punch number 2. This is going to be picking up the knockout onto Credilly, and we take the game. We see a very tough lead in the next match. Shadow Alolan Sandslash into Defense Deoxys. I'm going to save switch into Tentacruel, but my opponent can just stay in here and go for either a super effective Psycho Boost or a Thunderbolt, so they're able to force a shield very early on. My opponent now going to send in Guzzlord. Definitely good to bait out the Guzzlord, as Guzzlord would absolutely crush the Confusion user WYRDEER in the back. I go for the Scald bait. Not only do I get a shield, but I actually get a debuff. Okay. I'm going to let this through. They go for the Brutal Swing. I'm looking to farm up with the Tentacruel, and now I'm going for the Blizzard. I already baited once. I choose to full send here, and the Blizzard connects. Down goes Guzzlord. So I have switch advantage, which should be very helpful. But in the back, they have Dubwool. They have another Pseudo Fighter, and this is not good. My Alolan Sandslash is basically useless. I'm going to look to farm up some energy here, and basically just sacrifice the Sandslash. They're going to send in the Deoxys. I'm firing up energy here with the Alolan Sandslash, and I have to hope that WYRDEER is going to be able to close out this game for me. The Deoxys is going to make it to a move. They do not want me to make it to another Drill Run, and Rock Slide is going to pick up the knockout. I send in the Tentacruel. Tentacruel falls just short of making it to a move. They're now going to be able to pick up the knockout with the Rock Slide, and now I send in WYRDEER. WYRDEER just looking for a farm down. Opponent, they're able to survive these confusions very, very well. I'm going to let this through. They go for the Rock Slide. I continue to farm. In comes the Dubwool, and the Dubwool has back-to-back body slams here, so I have to hope that I can survive one, and I definitely cannot. That's so unfortunate. This is one of the games where I was trying Stomp, and as you can see, Stomp is barely cheaper than Wild Charge, so in the long run, it didn't end up adding any value. The tough leads continue in the next match as I led Alolan Sandslash into Skeledirge. I save switch into the Tentacruel. Opponent is going to stay in here, fire off the Shadow Ball, and now they send in Walrein. Walrein is an absolute wall to this moveset from Tentacruel, as both my Scald and my Blizzard are basically going to be doing no damage. I'm firing off another Scald. Even if I do get debuffs, they don't really help me here. The Scald is going to connect. I don't get the debuff, but either way, they're going to be able to fire off an Earthquake and pick up a knockout. Earthquake is going to pick up the KO. I'm going to send in the Sandslash. I think I may potentially have a bit of play here. If I can shield an Earthquake and Shadow Claw all the way down, I can leave with multiple Drill Runs to be able to threaten the Skeledirge. I do barely get the farm down here, as this is only going to be an Icicle Spear. Icicle Spear, not going to do a lot to Sandslash, and now when they send in the Skeledirge, I'm going to be firing off back-to-back Drill Runs. I do want to make sure that I go for 2 Shadow Claws and the move each time I throw, as that way I'm making sure to throw on good charge move timing and getting a little bit of extra chip damage. I get both shields from the opponent. I'm going to send in WYRDEER, and they're firing off energy. They're going to be going for the Disarming Voice. Disarming Voice connects. I continue to farm up. Unfortunately, I am not able to make it to a Wild Charge before they're able to make their next Disarming Voice. Are they going to switch? No. I'm forced to go for the Wild Charge, or I would potentially get incinerated down. This Wild Charge is going to pick up the knockout. In the back, it's Tentacruel, but the WYRDEER runs out of HP, and unfortunately, I can't win this, as Drill Run does not KO from this health range. Had I been able to survive and make it to a Wild Charge, I could have won the game, but the WYRDEER runs out of HP, and this Pokemon is proving extremely difficult to get wins with. We move into the next match, already in progress, and we've got the Alolan Sandslash mirror. This mirror is highly dependent on baiting and trying to call baits or potentially shielding nukes. I went for the nuke, my opponent shielded, I shield back, and I shield a bait. That's extremely unfortunate. It looks like I do win charge attack priority here as I fire off the Drill Run. Drill Run is going to be shielded, but it wasn't charge attack priority, so unfortunately it looks like my opponent lagged and didn't get their fast move through, which is really, really tough. And this means that unfortunately, it's actually not going to come down to the CMP tie as it typically should, but I'm just going to be able to get a clean knockout. So very unfortunate for my opponent as the game just does not work in their favor as it should. They send in a Lurantis, very cool spice from the opponent after getting absolutely destroyed by some meta teams. I mentioned to the members of my Discord, I was like, you know what? This Mon is definitely struggling a little bit, so let's see if we can add some spice to the team. So for the remainder of these battles, we are going to be seeing some spicier teams from the opponent, because at this point, we've kind of established WYRDEER with the current moveset, not the greatest, but we're still looking to have a little bit of fun with it. So as you can see, the XL Lurantis from the opponent is some very, very cool spice. Unfortunately for my opponent here, they do not have Future Sight on the Cresselia, so I am going to be able to pick up the knockout with this Scald, and all they have left is going to be that Lurantis. Lurantis in a bit of a difficult spot where they can't really Fury Cutter down, so they're forced to go for a Leaf Blade. Leaf Blade is going to pick up the KO, and now I can send in WYRDEER. WYRDEER, I haven't gotten to use Mega Horn yet, but this could be the opportunity. They go for the Leaf Blade. That does so much damage that, you know what? I'm just settling for the Wild Charge. I've lost way too many games trying to get this thing to work. I go for the Wild Charge, I pick up the KO, and we're able to take the win. We've got a great lead in the next match. Opponent bringing out the spice with the Shadow Crobat. They save switch into Tapu Fini. Oh no, and it all goes wrong for my opponent in an instant. This is Tapu Fini's worst nightmare, having to deal with Tentacruel. They fire off the Moonblast. Moonblast does a solid chunk of damage for being resisted. I'm going to be firing off the Scald. Scald not going to be enough to KO, but the important thing here is it is going to set up a very, very nice farm down. Opponent sends in the Crobat. I'm farming up. I'm past the Blizzard. I'm going to be firing off the Scald. Scald is going to be no-shielded by my opponent, and they're firing off energy. They need to go for a Shadow Ball to pick up the knockout, as I will survive a Poison Fang. It is the Poison Fang, and I make it to the Scald. This will knock out, or the opponent is going to have to commit a shield. They let it through in the back. Oh no, it's Greninja. I send in the Sandslash, but I'm in trouble here. I'm going to let this through in case they go for the Night Slash. They go for the Hydro. That does massive damage. And I think I'm about to get swept by a Greninja. I'm going to go for an Ice Punch bait here, hoping against hope that I get a shield, and I do get a shield. They're going to be firing off a charge move. I'm letting this go. I'm trusting in WYRDEER to win this game. I need to make it to double wild charges, and this game will be a win, but that's a lot of confusions. Even if I was running Stomp here, unfortunately, double Stomp, I believe, is the same energy as double Wild Charge, or, sorry, a Stomp bait plus a Wild Charge is the same amount of confusions as a double Wild Charge. So even if I had the bait move of Stomp, it doesn't really help here. I'm farming up with the WYRDEER, and we commit 2 shields. We still can't make the double Wild Charge. This moveset is causing me so much pain. And now we've got some great spice from the opponent in the next match as I lead Alolan Sandslash going up against the Galarian Zapdos. I save switch into the Tentacruel. They go for the Brave Bird. That does massive damage. Opponent now going to send in a Shadow Metagross. As I mentioned, I was getting absolutely smacked running this thing, so I reached out to the members of my Discord and I'm like, let's run some fun stuff. So for the rest of these battles, we're going to be seeing some fun picks because, man, going up against meta, WYRDEER was getting absolutely smacked around. I'll be 100% transparent. I'm now going to send in the Alolan Sandslash. They're only going to make it to 1 move, so I am going to shield here. Opponent goes for the Meteor Mash, hoping to get to the back-to-back, but they do not get there. I send in the WYRDEER. WYRDEER, these confusions absolutely shredding through the Zapdos, and I'm going to be committing the shield. It's the close combat. What do they have in the back? Oh my goodness, it's the big boy Wailord. I'm able to make it to the back-to-back wild charges. This is what it took to see WYRDEER sweep an endgame. We had to go up against the Wailord, but hey, wild charge, KOs the Wailord. Let's go, WYRDEER, and we take the game. Hopping into the final match, we got a bit of a tricky lead. Alolan Sandslash into Scizor. Now, Scizor is able to hit for neutral damage with Bullet Punch, Night Slash, and Iron Head. And Scizor, while not the tankiest mon around, does have the ability to survive a Drill Run. I fire off the Drill Run. Opponent is going to commit a shield, and this could get a bit uncomfortable. They're actually going to save switch a Waterfall Primarina. I bank double Drill Runs, and now, unfortunately for my opponent, much like in that previous Tapu Fini game, this Primarina is going up against its hardest counter with the Tentacruel. Tentacruel is going to get the full farm down, but I am very worried about a potential Greninja in the back, because I was so excited previously when I saw the Fini, but then I just got absolutely destroyed by that Greninja. Thankfully, it's not Greninja. It's another water type. It is going to be the Swampert. Unfortunately, the Blizzard does get shielded. I'm firing off the Scald. My switch clock should be up soon. So, if they continue to overfarm, which they do, I get to go for the snipe with the Drill Run from the Shadow Alolan Sandslash. Drill Run barely does not KO. I go for Drill Run number 2, and we actually see a catch onto the Scizor. Drill Run is going to connect. They are very low on HP with the Scizor. I'm going to be shielding once here. Honestly, I should have let the first one go in case they got the boost. Thankfully, they did not get the boost. WYRDEER is now going to be hit with the Night Slash. Let's see that damage. Oh my goodness. In comes the Swampert. Swampert has back-to-back moves loaded here, but unfortunately, the confusion goes through, and they will get KO'd. WYRDEER is a Pokemon that has a very cool typing shared by only a few Pokemon. The normal Psychic typing, I believe, is only shared by Girafarig and Meloetta, at least that are currently available in Pokemon Go, but it is let down by the moveset in a massive way. Confusion has extremely poor synergy with its charge moves. Stomp is just a terrible move. Wild Charge is a very good move, but when paired with Confusion, it just ends up being far too slow to get to moves. 16 turns to get to a charge move is extremely, extremely poor, and even if you run Stomp, it doesn't get much better. And then Mega Horn, which is a very good charge move, again, just ends up being prohibitively expensive. I would love to see WYRDEER get a very quick energy generating fast move in the future, and maybe something like Body Slam instead of Stomp, because Stomp is just a massive letdown of a normal type charge move. Overall, still going to be a fun Pokemon to go out and raid and look for the shiny, but in terms of PvP usage at the current moment, there basically isn't any. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is sincerely appreciated, so thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.